This is just one way to turn one venue that is a draw into a healthcare center, basically. And then you're actually getting to people where they're at with an early cancer detection, not only the education, but a way to act on it.
Welcome to the Nonprofit Fundraising Exchange, a podcast from IPM Advancement. Our mission is to help you raise more money so you can make the world a better place. Today's topic, good news and inspiring stories from nonprofits in 2021. Hi, this is Curtis Schmidt, producer of NPFX, the Nonprofit Fundraising Exchange. For our season finale episode, we decided to do something a bit different. With the year ending in just a few short weeks, fundraisers like you might be feeling extra stress or pressure. That's very natural in this profession. So we invited IPM team members and clients to call in and share their most inspirational stories and good news about how nonprofits and donors have made a difference in 2021. You'll hear stories about donor generosity, exciting capital campaigns, a creative collaboration between organizations serving the same community, and programs and services that are saving and enriching lives. It's so easy to lose the forest for the trees and forget just how much good nonprofits and their supporters have accomplished this past year. Our hope is that these stories lift you up a little and remind you to feel good about all of the hard work you're doing to make the world a better place. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Kim McEwen with TAG Children's Museum in St. Augustine, Florida, and here is my inspiring story. Back in early October, TAG Children's Museum celebrated our groundbreaking ceremony. And we have been working towards that goal for many, many years in our community to bring a children's museum to St. Augustine, Florida. And we were able to achieve that by persevering and remaining a team and always optimistic that we could do this and knowing that we could do it and not ever giving up. And we're so excited to be bringing these learning opportunities to children in our community. We can't wait to get open. Achieving the milestone of groundbreaking for the Children's Museum inspired community members and donors, philanthropists in our community, to step forward and make additional contributions. We also received new contributions this year, and some folks that we've met with many years ago who said, well, when you get to groundbreaking, we'll donate, actually did. So they kept their promise and stayed true to support the community. So I am looking forward to 2022 and experiencing the journey of opening a children's museum in the goal to have it open by the Night of Lights, which is a big deal here in Florida, in December of 2022. And our dream of bringing a children's museum and the first cultural institution to Northeast Florida in over 25 years has come true.
My name is Frank Vasilisi, and I am a consultant with IPM Advancement, and I am happy to share with you guys an inspirational story about one of my client partners for 2021. And in fact, they've been a client partner of mine for about 30 years now, on and off. And the name of the organization is Sojourner Center. And during this pandemic time, of course, it's been exceedingly difficult and challenging for every organization, including and especially this one, because they provide services to survivors of domestic violence. So they've had fewer space to provide more services to more people. So it's been very, very interesting how they were able to evolve their business model and really accommodate and do what needed to be done. At the current moment, this very moment in time, there are 119 women, there are 3 men, there are 94 children, 8 dogs, 7 cats, and a ferret in shelter. And those last 3 elements, the dogs and the cats and the ferret, are really cool because Sojourner Center is one of the very few domestic violence shelters around that actually provides services to animal companions as well. And what they heard many, many times leading up to the establishment of the animal welfare organization is that people chose to remain in a violent situation because they didn't want to have to leave their animal companions behind. So rather than leave a dog behind to suffer some uncertain fate, they said, you know what, it's just not worth it. We're just going to stay behind too and fend for ourselves and fend for the animal, which of course is not necessarily in their best interest. So one of the things that I'd like to talk about is the expanded program that Sojourner Center was able to do. So in addition to expanding their pet companion shelter, they also expanded programs for legal and childcare services, which were also very necessary, both for people in shelter and those who were not in shelter but needed help from the organization. So the second item that they focused on, which was key and will be very helpful to their success going forward, is they became certified by the Arizona Trauma Institute. So they are one of only 2 domestic violence shelters in this part of Arizona, Maricopa County, that has that certification. And as such, they are able to provide services to people who are in trauma, who are in crisis, and just be more helpful and deliver what people desperately need. The final thing that the organization accomplished this year is they migrated their leadership model from a single chief executive officer to a co-CEO setup. So they have 2 people who are now at the top of the food chain who are both supremely talented individuals. They're strong women. They are articulate, compassionate women. But they came up through the ranks through different verticals in the organization. So one of them was programming and actually delivering services to domestic violence survivors. And the other came up more through donor relations and individual relationship management and even internal team relationship management, different than program delivery. So the 2 of these individuals together complement each other so well. And I don't know that they would have necessarily done that had it not been during a pandemic time, And so in this time of uncertainty, the organization was really able to step back and focus on what are some things that we could be doing, the pandemic be darned, that will help us remain a good, strong, viable organization going forward. And those 3 that they did makes me very excited for their future.
My name is Gina Parziel. I am a consultant with IPM. And something I think that's been really inspiring in 2021 is how much mission delivery organizations have been able to do. I work with a lot of health charities, and I think that in an odd way, COVID has provided an opportunity to really explore online services in a new way. Patients and their families have really been able to embrace so much great programming from these organizations. And the organizations that I'm working with really have seen the benefits both in the response from the patients, but also, since this is about fundraising, in the fundraising, their year-end campaigns and their peer-to-peer fundraising efforts. And I think it all goes to show the importance of mission delivery in fundraising, especially for organizations like patient organizations where your donor base is often those that you serve. If you are making a meaningful difference in their lives and really helping them understand the condition that they have and live their best life with their condition, they're going to support you. They're going to encourage their family and friends to support you through fundraising efforts. And that is the most important piece. You can spend a lot of money on marketing and telling people why it's important to support you. But if people are feeling it and you're really making a difference in their lives, you don't have to tell them. They know the difference that you're making, and they are willing to share that and support that. And I think that 2021 has really brought that to life for a lot of organizations. And so my inspiration for the future from 2021 is the importance of mission delivery in fundraising, making sure that you're really making a meaningful impact with your mission, and the fundraising will follow.
Hi, this is Sam Dean. I'm the Executive Director of the Scott Family Museum for kids and families about science and learning here in Northwest Arkansas. I have a hard time actually circulating around one. It's the same thing. I ask me the best, whatever, and I will freeze up. So I might pick one with families, but then I also would actually, I'd pick our Ungala as one of the really awesome moments of the year. So the Ungala for us is an event we do every year. It is one of our opportunities a year to engage with adults in a different way than we do on a day-to-day basis. The Amazium isn't just a place for kids to come and learn and explore. The Amazium, we do lots of things for adults, and we're growing our portfolio of things we do with adults. And when we thought about a way that we can raise resources to help support the Amazium's mission in this work, for us, the biggest thing is to think about, well, how do we create an event, a fundraiser, but how do we do it Amazium style? So we wanted to do an Ungala where a black tie is out of place, where you should come ready to get messy and play and have fun. So it's based around bringing out incredible experiences that we often can only do once a year. We had a flame organ one year. We had the life-size mousetrap group, this creative group out of the Bay Area, come out as maker residents, installed a 50,000 pound sculpture, 18 pieces of replica of the mousetrap, but giant size that crushed a car, or the Hand of Man, this artist who brought out this piece where you put your hand in a gauntlet and you can move this giant arm that can lift a car. We crush a lot of cars, the Amazium, apparently that's our thing. So the Ungala is a chance to come out, play, invest in great mission-based fundraising, be able to give to help us be able to do these things, do experiences every day for kids and families. And this year, we also did a digital broadcast. We did a hybrid event. People hadn't been eventing in a while. And, we had to do a massive change in how we thought about it. So we did a hybrid event. We had a very spread out event. We spread it out throughout the day. And adults came out and they played hard. We weren't able to have food and adult beverages like we've had in the past. And yet some of those things we weren't able to have didn't actually take away from the things we were able to do. Have great fun, play, laugh. And in lots of cases, the weather, the sun came out that day. So actually the chance to laugh outside together in a safe way and in a fun way, I think was magical for a lot of adults we found who they themselves hadn't been to an event in over a year. So if we think about the magic of having a place that has these moments for kids and families to be here and that we get to be part of that magic, imagine when that doesn't happen and for us to have to figure out how to reinvent that, which we did through, of course, digital engagements through Amazium U, through lunchtime tunes with local artists trying to fund the local creative community. Those are great moments. One of the magical things about the Amazium is that actually every day we get to have these moments where kids and families turn the corner and look down the hallway and they get pulled into this experience. And I think the everyday magic is something that I walk in and I still get chills around when you watch kids, just the look on their face when they first see that they can paint on a pane of glass or climb up to the rafters. They just get this look and it's magic. And as adults, I think sometimes we lose that sense of magic. We're fortunate we get to see it almost every day.
This is Samantha Timlick, VP of Client Services for IPM Advancement. And my inspiring story for 2021 comes from an organization out of New Mexico, Animal Protection New Mexico, and then their advocacy arm, Animal Protection Voters. I have been really impressed with this organization. The people that work there, they are just so passionate. And there are always a lot of folks around the table when we're talking about what to do and how to make things better. And they apply the same thing to their mission. So I sort of want to highlight two wins for them. So they came to IPM with a pretty small donor file, asking how they could expand it so that they can therefore expand their work. What we found is that it was challenging working with an organization in New Mexico where the population is quite small. So we've had some trouble finding lists. And our spring efforts brought in about 75% of what we hoped they would. But the big win came this fall because we applied what we learned in spring, and our program for fall is already beating budget. response rate is above budget, average gift is above budget, and we've already brought in more donors than we planned. And the mailing still has time. We expect more gifts to come in. So from a fundraising perspective, that's the big win there. But I also wanted to talk about this organization and sort of their wins, a mission win, if you will. So earlier this year, after more than a decade of working on this project, they were able to get a bill passed in New Mexico that bans traps, snares, and poisons on public lands. I had no idea that hunters and trappers could put poisons and snares and traps on public lands in New Mexico. And really, like I said, they had been working on it for, 10 years or what have you. The law that was passed is called Roxy's law, and it was named after a dog who was out with her family in a, public land in New Mexico and got caught in a trap. And it was so bad that they weren't able to free her and she passed. And I was just so impressed with how this organization really came at this thing from every side. They were at the Capitol rallying. They were meeting with legislators. They were sending out these call to actions to their supporters, asking them to write letters and call in and do all of this stuff. And in speaking with them, they said that it was that grassroots mobilization that really made the difference and finally was the tipping point that got this law passed. And it goes into effect in 2022. So that was really cool. I wish that IPM had been more of a part of that work, but you know what? We're actively working with them on some other things right now. They've got a lot of irons in the fire. In fact, our fall mailing that's doing so well on the prospecting side is about freeing chimps who are being held at an Air Force base in Alamogordo, New Mexico. So it's really inspiring to see this organization that's sort of small and scrappy, but so smart, really, bring all of the tools at their disposal together to make a substantial difference.
I'm Alec Elbert. I'm a consultant for IPM Advancement, and my inspiring story from 2021 is about a nonprofit who educates and advocates for early cancer detection. They have a system to raise awareness and teach people how to actually detect cancer early. And we had the general, standard awareness game set up and things like that every nonprofit gets. You kind of run through the cookie cutter program, and that's fine and good. It raises some awareness, raises some funds, but great, you do one of those every year. How far does it really get you? We were trying to think beyond that and other ways to partner with organizations. So what we did was we work with firefighters. Firefighters are 14% more likely to get diagnosed with cancer, 9% more likely to die from cancer if they get it. So they've got a significant risk. This organization is very well established with partners in the area, one of whom, the Worcester Red Sox, a local AAA affiliate of the Boston Red Sox, was looking for ways to strengthen their relationship, not only with the nonprofit, but also with the firefighters in the local area, the people that they support in general. And so what we decided to do in an era after the pandemic, right, where sports stadiums are being used for medical purposes, frankly, to be, doing, vaccinations and things like that, we said, how about we try to do like a cancer skin screening, because we were looking for a venue at Polar Park with the Worcester Red Sox. And it might be a draw for the firefighters to come out, see the new park, and get their skin screened while they were there, right? Something that they're not necessarily going to do on their own, but it was a great potential partnership, and we started to work on it and got to the point where we got UMass Memorial involved in it to actually provide their dermatology department and some other services like, do you need a primary care physician? When's your last colonoscopy? Things like that helped them kind of not only get the skin screening, but get a full kind of early cancer diagnosis screening for themselves and get a ticket to a ball game coming up soon. We had 115 firefighters come through, have their skin screened, learn about other programs that UMass Memorial provided, and probably about a third of those folks actually set up follow-up appointments with the doctors. So really ended up accomplishing multiple goals for different groups, right? Ultimately, the firefighters, just because of cancer rates, we know some of the firefighters, if out of 115 who were there, a third of those folks are following up in some way. We're going to be catching something at some level early, which is the goal of the organization, right? And so it's a nice event, really got put together well, ended up generating a lot of earned media. UMass Memorial gets, frankly, new patients going through their system, gets a little exposure for their dermatology department. And then the Woosocks and Polar Park, are able to provide something to the community. And also you're working with the firefighters. And for us, it's just building a deeper relationship with all of them. And our donors loved it. They saw it and they were just like, this is what our dollars should be going towards. I love this story. I love what this event was, what it is, what it's developing into. There's all sorts of different levels to go with this. It's just kind of, there's a lot of layers to go with it. So as we look to the future, we try to think about other ways that we can deliver early cancer detection, cancer screenings, all sorts of different, ways to get to people early to create action. This is just one way to turn one venue that is a draw into a healthcare center, basically. And so the opportunities there are endless, right? It could be a ballpark. It could be any other type of facility, type of place where really all you need is some pipe and drape and the doctors to make sure that they come out. And then you're actually getting to people where they're at with an early cancer detection, not only the education, but a way to act on it as well. So there's a lot of benefit across the board.
Hi, I am Jana Osland. I'm a consultant with IPM Advancement, and my inspiring story for 2021 relates to an organization that is in a little over $100 million capital campaign to build a ministry campus in the Northeast for children with learning differences, recreational differences of all walks of life. And 2021 proved to be that pivotal year where the dream becomes a reality. This organization has had this dream for a number of years. What made 2021 really special was that there was a gift of land donated, which then spurred the ability to kick off a major capital campaign. The scary part for the organization was now that they had this land, they had to figure out how to launch a massive capital campaign of this magnitude. Over the course of about 3 months, we gained support for about $5 million from a couple different donors. The camp was able to have a summer camp. They had tents rather than big buildings, but they were able to get up and off the ground this summer. And what that did was it really ignited a passion and a fire within people who otherwise, quite frankly, maybe even internally too, believed that this wasn't a possibility. And the children and the families who were impacted by the week and sometimes 2 week long experiences at this beautiful outdoor setting in the Northeast was unbelievably moving. Towards the end of the summer, what we did is we created a photo album. We had it specially printed. It was sort of a collection of stories over the course of the summer. And it ranged from everything from a girl who is confined to a wheelchair, who was able to, through the ability course that has been built and for the special needs children, she was able to go on hikes, to a Down syndrome boy who really has never been a part of anything social and group orientated. And he became the biggest social butterfly of the group. And his mother said she could never have dreamt of an experience where he would come out of his shell like this. There were so many good stories that came out of the summer that I didn't want us to trip over their stories by us putting words in the prospects' minds. I wanted them to create the story for themselves. And by putting together the storybook, there are no words in this. It is literally just a photo album. And 2 things happened with this. In late August, after the camp season had ended, we shared this photo album with a prospect who, within the organization, had been a donor to a smaller facet for probably 5, maybe 6 years. They were so moved, and the timing was so incredibly perfect. They were in the process of selling their business, the husband and wife team selling their business. And they, in turn, have gifted this organization the largest gift in the entire organization's history. It's a $15 million gift. We carried their story along with the photo album to a new prospect in October. And this woman in particular broke down in tears. And I've never seen anything like this before. They're now in discussions for another leadership level campaign gift. And I think the inspiring thing here is that one individual has helped inspire another, and there's like this small domino effect happening. And now we have a tremendous success story to tell, not just from the fundraising side that we can then continue to build on, but from the stories that are coming out of the youth and the families that have participated in this inaugural session that was literally tents and not big fancy buildings. And I think in the spring, ground will be broken on the actual construction of the permanent facilities. And, at the start of 2021, I don't think we would have ever realized we would be closing the year in this manner. It's been a truly remarkable experience to be a part of.
Hi, my name is Alan Knobloch, consultant with IPM. And my inspiring story is an organization I work with called Family Promise in the greater Phoenix, Arizona area. They are an organization that helps families avoid or transition quickly out of homelessness, not individuals, but families. And their mission is primarily to give them a bounce as opposed to pull them out of homelessness. So they have lots of organizations they work with during the day to give them job training and get their kids to school and find them low-cost housing. And their power is in their relationships with other organizations, primarily faith organizations, where they house them overnight. And then during the day, they come to their facilities to get this programming. So they had that rolling along pretty well for many years. And I'll add that they're very efficient financially because of these partnerships. Some of these programmatic elements come from other organizations that they partner with, not necessarily just from them. But they had all these partnerships in place, and we're growing, and we're very efficient in terms of the dollars they spent on the families that they were able to support. Also would add to this that they take families where there's no domestic violence, there's no addiction issues. They're very careful to make sure that these are families that can graduate and be successful. Many are single parents who just had some bad luck. So speaking of bad luck, a pandemic came along, closed down all of their church partners, and really put a strain on their ability to meet the needs of these families during that time period. So they quickly pivoted to bringing them into their facilities, which really weren't set up for that. But they were able to quickly set them up for that and still accommodate their goal and their mission in terms of helping these families. And they had about 200 faith partners before the pandemic. And when the pandemic hit, they went down to none. And they were serving through those, they wouldn't all be participating at the same time. They were serving about 40 to 50 families at any given time. Some of those families were further along the progression in terms of being able to graduate and move into, self-sufficiency. So that went down to really struggling to maintain that number. We did a feasibility study around them acquiring the facility, their main facility, as well as expanding programs and taking what they learned from being able to actually physically house people while they weren't able to use their church and religious partners, to actually maybe expand into doing more of that in concert with their faith partners who are now coming back online to be able to accommodate more families. So now we are doing a $4 million campaign to help them actually then expand and grow and use some maybe non-traditional to them ways of housing these families while they're getting back on their feet. And now with the campaign, they want to go back to 200 faith-based partners, but also expand and double their ability within their own facilities to manage twice as many of those families in the process, maintaining the relationships they have with other organizations and providing the services. I'm really enjoying and proud of the organization for the work they do and how intelligent they've put their mission together. Their board of directors are very engaged and very willing to take what we share with them as far as tried and true campaign advice and put it into action, even though they've never done one before. and it really makes me feel like there's a great chance of success here.
That concludes our year-end episode of Good News and Inspiring Stories from Nonprofits in 2021. Thank you to all of the people and nonprofits who so generously shared their stories of inspiration with us today. If you'd like to learn more about any of the organizations featured in this episode, we will include links in the show notes. If you have an inspiring story you'd like to share, please send it to contact@ipmadvancement.com and we'll consider posting it to our followers on social media. If you like this episode, we would love your help spreading the word. First, please subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app so you always know when a new episode is released. Second, forward the episodes you like to friends and colleagues or share them on social media. Word of mouth is one of the best ways you can help us reach more nonprofit professionals like yourself. And if you use Apple Podcasts or Audible, please leave us a review. Podcast reviews are how many listeners decide whether or not to try out a new podcast. We appreciate your help. For back episodes and more resources like white papers, infographics, and blog articles, please visit the free IPM Advancement Nonprofit Resource Library at ipmadvancement.com/resources. Thanks for listening. We hope you have a happy holiday season, and we'll see you in 2022.